Today, I'm going to be tackling one of the most common questions that newbie travelers ask, which is whether any of these websites are scams. Because I get it, a lot of the time when you're searching for travel deals, you'll find things that seem frankly a little too good to be true and you don't want to get scammed. So I'll explain exactly how to find this out for yourself with every single website you encounter, and I'll even give you a free checklist and worksheet to help figure it out if you stay until the end. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com, and this channel is all about practical travel advice from someone who's been there, done that, so be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. Now, let's start with what exactly I mean by third-party website. So third-party basically just means that they are not the ones directly providing the service. So in essence, they're acting as a third party or kind of a middleman between the provider and you, the customer. In other words, they can sell you a tour, they can sell you a ticket, whatever it is they're selling. But usually they aren't the ones that are actually organizing that tour or operating that flight. If it helps, you can kind of think of them as a travel agent. A travel agent can book you the ticket, but at the end of the day, they are not going to be the one flying the plane or giving you the tour. Now, this is in contrast to actual providers. In the world of travel, we have tons of different service providers who are the ones providing the service that you're using. Whether that's transport providers like individual airlines and bus companies and different train companies, accommodation providers like individual hotels, bed and breakfasts, and rental apartments, tour providers like the actual companies who are running the tours, and also attractions like the actual museums or shows themselves that you are buying tickets to see. So, anytime you book directly with these operators, let's say on the official airline website or on the actual hotel website or the actual tour company's website, this would be a direct booking. You are booking directly with the person or company providing the service. But as you've probably encountered, there are so many options for most things that searching and comparing hotel prices across every individual hotel website or every single tour website would probably take forever. So that is where third-party websites can come in handy. Many of these third-party websites simply act as aggregators that combine lots of different services from various providers or give other benefits like a more user-friendly interface or maybe service in your local language. I know that this distinction can seem obvious, but a lot of travelers don't realize the difference, so now you know. Some very popular third-party websites in travel include online travel agencies like Expedia and Travelocity, hotel aggregators like Booking.com and Hotels.com, transport aggregators like Omio or Trainline, and tour and activity aggregators like GetYourGuide or Viator. So, how do you know when to use a third party or when to book directly? There are many people out there who consider all third parties to be scams, but honestly, that's not the most accurate way to look at it. Instead, here is a 4-step process to help you decide whether or not it's worth booking with a third party. Step number 1 is considering whether that actual third party is legitimate. So as we've already established, not all third-party websites are scams, and most of the time, the ones that you see on popular aggregators, like for instance, Google Flights, those will all be legitimate. But you should always be double checking and not making assumptions. So usually a quick search of reviews is all it really takes to see whether or not that third party is legit, meaning do they actually provide the service that they promise? So let's say you're booking a flight through a third party, will you actually get a ticket? Or if you book a tour through them, will that tour actually exist? And don't just look at the star rating, because third parties almost always inevitably have many 1-star ratings due to issues beyond their providing of the service, usually to do with inflexibility with changes and things like that. So do make sure you actually read the low reviews to determine whether or not that third party is legit. In other words, if they're actually going to provide you with the service that they promise. Step number 2 is then considering what the benefits of that third party actually are. So as I said before, the reason third parties exist and are so popular is really because they have a lot of benefits. So understanding the benefits of whatever third party you're looking at will help you decide if it's actually worth your time. First off, in many cases, what third parties do is save you time. So rather than have to look up every single airline or every mode of transport or every single tour company, you can just use one search tool to browse them all. And often the search tools offer a lot more features like helpful filters, map views, etc. Let's use Omio as an example. This is one of my go-to tools for travel in Europe because it offers the incredible time-saving benefit that it searches buses, trains, and flights all at once. So if you're flexible regarding the type of transport or you're intending to use a mix of transport modes, then booking and searching with Omio is actually really great. Generally speaking, most third-party sites also come with more user-friendly interfaces as well, especially when compared to local operator websites, which can often be very clunky or outdated or only available in the local language depending on where you're going. In addition to better search tools, often third parties will offer very easy modification solutions built into their platforms as well. So free one-click cancellations on booking.com, for instance, or fully refundable tours on GetYourGuide up to 24 hours before, which can be much easier than trying to deal with customer support in another language. Another benefit is that third parties often give you a centralized place to hold all your bookings. This is why I personally really enjoy using third parties like booking.com, because if I have tons of trips on the horizon, it's nice to just see all the hotels I've booked in one place, rather than have all the different direct bookings kind of scattered around in my inbox. And sometimes booking with third-party sites can actually be cheaper as well, especially for some sites like GetYourGuide, which offer a best price guarantee. Do note though that oftentimes there is a reason that it's cheaper. Sometimes hotels will set aside less desirable rooms on lower floors or near elevators, etc. for third-party sales specifically, so that's how they're able to offer these up for a lower price, which makes you feel like you're getting a better deal when in reality what you're getting is a crappier room. So keep that in mind. But again, there are benefits, so it's not all bad. Booking with third-party accommodation sites in particular can actually be really good for collecting loyalty status or perks across different chains and properties. In the travel world, as I'm sure you know, loyalty does often pay off, especially with airlines and big hotel chains. But if you're traveling somewhere that doesn't have a lot of chains, or if you'd personally prefer a mix of properties, then booking all with one third party allows you to rack up different perks and benefits without having to commit to a single chain. So again, with booking.com, for instance, I have earned my way up to be a Genius Level 3 member, which sounds very fancy, but I think is actually not that difficult. But now basically with this benefit, I get a 10% minimum discount along with other perks like free upgrades. Hotels.com as well gives you a free night stay after 10 nights booked. So to summarize this step, really look at your third party closely and consider what the perks are, and then move on to the next step, which is considering any deal breakers of booking with this third party. Because of course with third parties, there are downsides. To me, the main downside of booking with third parties is that the customer service is often worse, especially if you need urgent help. And this makes sense, right? Because again, as the middleman, they're not the ones providing the service. So if you're booking trains, for instance, something goes wrong with your train, odds are this third party isn't going to know the ins and outs of the delay, how long it's going to be, or anything like that. Whereas the actual train operator themselves will have access to that kind of information. Third parties might also present more difficulties with amending bookings for transport because, again, as the middleman, usually this will be a little bit slower than having a direct line to the provider. This is why I would generally advise against using third parties for transport unless your plans are pretty much set in stone. Again, this is more for transport than accommodation or tours, which tend to be more flexible and actually quite easy to amend on certain websites. But yes, just keep that all in mind. All that said, another downside is sometimes those who book with third parties tend to actually be the lowest priority when it comes to potential perks or upgrades. You'll often find this with hotels, for instance. As I said before, often the third party assigned rooms are marked as undesirable in some way, and usually there will be no offers to upgrade you to a nicer room, for instance, if they see that you've booked through a third party. Most hotels honestly will want you to book directly with them because it saves them money that they don't have to pay to the third party in the form of fees. So they'll often try their best to incentivize direct bookings, whether that's through a best rate guarantee or other perks like free breakfast. So with all that information in mind, the final step is to see whether or not you can combine both to get the best of both worlds. Now, I might get in trouble for saying this, but listen, there is nothing stopping you from using a third-party website tool to research and compare your options and then booking directly once you find the option that makes the most sense for you. Honestly, doing this can make a lot of sense in many situations, especially if you're only booking a handful of hotels or transport tickets rather than a bunch for a very long trip or multiple trips. For longer, more complicated trips, honestly, there are compelling reasons to use third parties, like the ease of keeping everything in one place. So yes, be sure to weigh the pros and cons and see what makes the most sense for you. All right, I hope that was helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe for more travel videos just like this one. And let me know in the comments if there's any third parties that you've had a horrible experience with, or just share your experiences in general to help your fellow travelers. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.